All eyes are on Bitcoin as it moves in to close a monthly candle in just 4 hours from the time of recording. Alongside that, Bitcoin will also be closing an important weekly candle. Some are speculating that the top is in and that some significant downside could be next. Others are speculating that the bullish trajectory is still very much intact. Also, what could this mean for the alt sector, including the very notable altcoins that I've been covering on this channel? I'm going to pull up this chart and show you what I'm looking at. Alright, Bitcoin here up on the monthly chart. So I'll start by toggling into the price action itself, and let's explore as to why some people are thinking this could be a potential top and potentially a greater pullback on the horizon. And right off the bat, I can say that they're not completely out of their mind, as Bitcoin does look like it's printing a shooting star right now, noted by this major wick that's ripping to the upside here, coming in around the $42,000 mark. When I look down below at the volume read, I see the volume coming in is very, very significant, getting above the moving average here, as well as clobbering the last several months of volume read. When I look left to this candle here, which is the blow off top of the previous all-time high, coming in around the end of 2017, 2018, I see some very similar behavior here. I see a very similar candle being printed, as well as coming in on that very significant volume read down below. And as you can see, the following several months of price action was to the downside. I also see that price action got very, very extended from the 10 simple moving average as well as the 21. And as you can see at the time of recording, Bitcoin is very, very extended. It's extended even more so than it was back in this area here. And as you can see, a couple months later, Bitcoin managed to come down and test that 10 simple moving average. And FYI, that 10 simple right now is living all the way down at 15,560. Mind you, that's about to rise up at this candle body closure. And perhaps it comes in somewhere around this little tiny liquid zone that I plotted here. And this liquid zone, by the way, is plotted on a lower time frame clearly. But perhaps the 10 simple will close in somewhere around the $16,500 mark. So the moral of the story is if we see if this price action rhymes with former price action, well, perhaps we do see a test all the way down there. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to happen, and it's not even something that I'm really looking for right away. And by the time that the monthly does test around there, if it does, the 10 simple is likely to be living much higher, because I mean, it was literally 2 months later when Bitcoin managed to test the 10 simple. So you got to wonder where the 10 will be living in and around that time. But being that this is very stretched from those notable moving averages, it does look like there's a potential case to the downside. Let's toggle down to the RSI. So the RSI down below here is in the overbought zone, but not nearly as aggressively as it was back here. You can see that it is getting quite extended from the exponential moving average, but you can also see that there isn't a heck of a lot of data present here, at least on a monthly chart for this exponential moving average. So I'm not sure how much weight I'll necessarily put on that. You can see right here that the stochastics are hinting at a cross to the downside, depending on how this monthly closes in the next few hours, but it's looking very, very probable that they will. However, when Bitcoin goes into this major trending behavior, you can see that the stochastics get up there and they just swerve around in that area for month after month after month. So definitely not a death sentence. When I look down at the MACD, I do see some constructive behavior here. I see the MACD's printing a larger island of positive momentum versus the one back on the blow off top of 2018, which is encouraging. But I do see that the moving averages are getting quite extended from one another. And at some point in time, these oscillators do like to return to the mean. And there can be some kind of pullback behavior accompanied with that. So at the end of the day, even if this is going to be a pullback, yes, it could be quite significant. I mean, this is a monthly chart, so we're speaking to the overall macro range here. Like, this isn't a chart that plays out overnight, most certainly. So, over time, over the next 2 or 3 months, if Bitcoin takes the southern route, it could take some time to play out for sure. And at the end of the day, when Bitcoin does this kind of thing, it does smash the alt sector, including the really good notable alts I've been covering on this channel, such as Theta, Link. All those really good altcoins will likely get dragged down with this. Does that have to happen? Of course not. But historically speaking, that is what has happened. So it's fair to say that there's a probability that if Bitcoin does take the southern route, it's more probable that the altcoins will go with it. Versus the possibility of them being somehow able to be decoupled from Bitcoin's price action, if you will. Now, not all here is doom and gloom. Let's look at some of the bullish cases. Why are some people still speculating that this is bullish price action? Well, let's get back into the price action here. And first and foremost, any monthly candle body closure above the previous candle body closure is a positive sign. That does have the hallmarks of continuation. It's unfortunate that Bitcoin has this gigantic wick here because looking at that wick, it does make me think, oh my goodness, like this could be a top. But the fact that the body closure is potentially coming in above the previous candle body high is definitely a positive thing. However, it is notable that did happen back here as well, and it didn't mean a heck of a lot at the end of the day. But technically speaking, that is a good thing. I also see that the moving averages have a far more aggressive slope to the upside than they did back here, which is overall good. But being this extended is not the greatest thing on earth. But here's another little thing that I'm paying attention to, and that's found within the Bollinger Bands. And you can see my Bollinger Bands here are noted in purple. And I do like to use a strategy that's known as riding the Bollinger Bands. Perhaps I'll make a video on that in the future and say a technical analysis 101 playlist that maybe I'll create on this channel going forward. But typically when you see, like you can see back here when Bitcoin got this monthly candle body closure above the top side of that Bollinger Band, and toggling down below, volume wasn't really all the greatest here, but Bitcoin did close that candle body above that Bollinger Band. And you can see the next month was just follow through, closing another candle body above the top side of that band, and then another, and that is known as what's called riding the Bollinger Band. You can use this strategy to the downside as well. And as of right now, Bitcoin is closing monthly candle bodies well above the top side of that Bollinger Band. And as a rule of thumb, I'm typically not bearish on anything that continues to close monthly candle bodies. Now, when I look left, I can see the same thing was going on back here. Bitcoin eked out this monthly candle body closure above that top Bollinger Band just barely, but then it kept closing the candle bodies above it. And it did this. How many months did it do that for? So right here's where it began. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 months. 9 months in a row. I mean, there's this weird hammer candle here, or some people might have looked at that as a hanging man. But regardless, the body closed above that top Bollinger Band. And historically speaking, Bitcoin likes to absolutely rip off that. So you can see, Bitcoin got the first one here, and we're only 3 months into that. Back here, Bitcoin got 9 months. 9 months. Now, just because it did that in the past doesn't mean it has to do that in the future. But typically, I look I look left to historical price behavior to get an idea as to what could potentially happen. Maybe history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but sometimes history can rhyme with itself. So if we get any kind of behavior like that, then bullish trajectory is still intact. Now, it is notable that the top Bollinger Band here is way down at 25,877, and it's going to be very interesting to see how much that rises up. I mean, perhaps it gets up to around 26, 27,000. I'll be looking at that first thing in the morning. But let's say Bitcoin wants to pull back to the top side of the Bollinger Band. Imagine how freaky that's going to be for a lot of people in the market. A lot of people will be calling this as a top at that point. But Bitcoin could come all the way down. Right now, it could come down as far as 25,700, tag the top side of that Bollinger Band, and then just simply have continuation from there. So I do see this as a strong indication that the bullish trajectory is still very, very much intact. Now, if Bitcoin comes down and closes a monthly candle body inside that Bollinger Band, then I think that's likely going to initiate some further downside behavior. Now, overall, as crazy as this sounds, I'm not going to be overall macro bearish on Bitcoin. Bitcoin could go through several months of corrective behavior here, and in my eyes, isn't disrupting the overall macro bullish trajectory. Yeah, that's going to scare a lot of people. It's going to beat a lot of people up. It's going to absolutely likely going to destroy the alt sector in a very, very bad way. But at the end of the day, it could come down quite a ways before I would start looking at this as overall macro bearish. Now, it's also notable to say that, my rule with the 21 exponential moving average still very much applies on a monthly scale. That is a rule that I've developed for myself that works great on most time frames, especially daily, 2 day, 3 days, weekly, monthlies. And remember, I'm not bearish on anything that's opening and closing monthly candles. Macro speaking here, this is a monthly chart. So where is the 21 right now? It is way down at 13,666. Now, it's about to rise quite aggressively, and likely if Bitcoin comes down to test that 21 over time, it's going to be living in much higher price levels. But just to give you an idea as to how bad this could actually pull back before I view it overall macro bearish. Now, I'm a trader and I do manage my risk, and there's no way I'm going to hold on to a position that's going to retrace all the way down there. I'm just not interested in being a bag holder. I like my gains, and I try to protect my gains first and foremost. As somebody that knows technical analysis quite well and is a trader, I approach these kinds of things more from a risk management perspective versus a trader. So when I look at myself and I think, what am I? Am I a trader? No, I'm a risk manager first and foremost. And that helps me protect any gains that I've been accumulating along the way, and or minimize my losses in the event that I'm wrong about my analysis. And traders are wrong from time to time indeed. This is not a crystal ball. But there is still very much a bullish case intact down here. And so yeah, so we're going to have to see what happens here. Let's toggle into a weekly here and take a look at the weekly as well. So with the weekly here, right now, the weekly is holding a fairly significant horizontal that I have plotted in around $29,000. And right now, as crazy as this candle looks, it is attempting to close a weekly candle body above the bottom side of this previous week's candle body. And overall, I'll be viewing that as a bullish thing. The moment that Bitcoin gets a weekly candle body closure below the bottom side of this candle, then I think it's going to initiate a test likely of this horizontal again coming in around that $29,000 mark. And I can see that the 10 simple moving average is working its way back up there, so perhaps another wick off of that, but we'll have to see. If any weekly candle body closures happen below the 10 simple moving average as well as this horizontal here, then likely going to initiate a test of this liquid zone right here. And I can see that the 21 is coming into confluence with that, likely on this next tick. So we're going to have to see what happens there. The RSI can see already got out of the extended zone, is still in the bullish control zone, but is under a little bit of pressure here as the exponential moving average does begin to lose its positive slope. But still in the bullish control zone, overall good. Again, you can see when Bitcoin trends, when it trends on a daily, weekly, whatever, you can see the stochastics, they do like to get in this exhaustion zone, but they just swerve around in there. Stochastics are typically a range-bound indicator, but you can see that they are losing their luster right now, and they are nosediving back into the bullish control zone with a pretty aggressive slope to the downside. And I don't really like to see that read coming in when Bitcoin's potentially going to be, closing, when it is going to be closing these weekly candles as well as the monthly at the same time. MACD down below here, the histogram is losing a lot of its momentum, but at the end of the day, what this is mostly signaling is just a convergence of the moving averages here, which you can see that they are quite extended right now and losing a little bit of their momentum. So at the very least, it does look like some kind of consolidation is at the very least here. So there could be some pullbacks on the horizon. I'm going to keep a very close eye on this. Of course, if that happens, it's going to beat up the alt sector. So long as Bitcoin remains in its overall macro bullish trajectory, what I'll be doing personally is I'm going to be looking for some major buying opportunities that could present themselves on the horizon, including the alt sector. Now, today we did look at some higher time frame charts, so I do need to remind you that these charts take a long time to play out. So any of these major buy opportunities that I'm hinting towards right now are likely well into the future. They could be 2 months from now, 3 months from now. I'm going to do what I always do and just keep my thumb on the pulse the best that I can. Watch this chart play out, but could be 2 months, 3 months. Very hard to put a timeline on any of these kinds of things, but the party certainly won't be over. It'll likely shake out a lot of people who came into the space to make a quick buck or that were looking to get rich quick. It could shake out a lot of those folks and before the trend proceeds. So we always have to keep our mind on that, and that's why I like to use technical analysis to help me develop an overall actionable plan, keep my emotions in check, and to use this as a very extremely powerful supplement to good fundamental analysis. I do believe in the crypto space and Bitcoin, especially going forward into the future. I think the future has arrived in a lot of ways. Even if we see some blood in the streets over the next few months, it's not going to shake me out. I'll likely just switch back to my trading mode. I do a heck of a lot of trading, and I know how to make money when markets move to the downside. And I'm also an options trader and know how to make money when markets literally trade sideways by selling premium. And I look forward to talking a little bit more about that on this channel. So if you guys have made it to the end of this video, congratulations to you. And thank you so much for watching it. And I really enjoy doing this. I'm really happy to have you guys here. This has been a lot of fun to be sharing this, my passion for, investing, technical analysis, and technology such as blockchain and Bitcoin that is bringing about a new future for all of us. So anyways, you guys, thanks so much for coming by and checking out this video. I hope you're all doing well out there. And until I see you again, which is probably tomorrow, have yourselves a powerful day.